Welcome back. Sorry for a very delayed podcast. We are going to be talking a little bit about Origin today. In Billy We Trust, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We want to go through the week of AFL, NRLW, and NRL we just had. I must say, at the start, I am very proud of my Queensland team, as should all you fellow Queenslanders. It was a fantastic, and I mean a fantastic performance by all the boys in maroon doing their state a great deal. And yes, I was very happy with it all. Now, I'm going to boot straight into it. We're talking AFL up first. What were my tips over the weekend? And I have a little story to tell for those that are curious. So, let's kick it off. So, AFL recap. We had Carlton versus Brizzy, Gold Coast versus Collingwood, Bulldogs versus Adelaide, GWS versus Geelong, Richmond versus Essendon, Freo versus Hawks, Melbourne versus North Melbourne, the clash of Melbourne, St Kilda versus Sydney, and Port versus West Coast. Now, Carlton versus Brizzy, I tip Brizzy. Gold Coast versus Collingwood, I picked Collingwood. Bulldogs versus Adelaide, I had Adelaide tipped. GWS versus Geelong, I had GWS picked. Richmond versus Essendon, I had Essendon tipped. Freo versus Hawks, I had the Hawks tipped. Melbourne versus North Melbourne, I had Melbourne tipped. St Kilda versus Sydney, I had Sydney. And Port versus West Coast. So Brizzy got the win. The Suns got the win. A very close, exciting game. I will touch on that in a mere second because I was at that game. Adelaide got the win over the Dogs, so happy for me. GWS versus Geelong. GWS got that win there. Richmond, for a very long time, got a win. Giving Essendon, handing them the continuing losing streak. I had the Hawks picked. Freo got over them. I'm a bit disappointed in that. And then, yes, Melbourne won against the Clash of Melbourne. Sydney got the win over St Kilda. And, yes, Port got the win over West Coast. So 7 out of 9 tips. I am not ashamed of that at all. I'm actually pretty happy, one might say. Now, Friday night, what's not sport? I probably should have put a bit of content out, but it's probably a good thing I didn't. I was at the Gold Coast Suns versus Collingwood game, and let me tell you right now, the stereotypes of Collingwood supporters does not stray far away from the reality. We had some very unhappy Collingwood supporters sitting near us, and yeah, toothless and quite aggressive. So I won't go into too much details. If you do want the story, hit me up on Instagram and maybe I'll make a reel about it. But let's just say they were not happy with us. Me, someone who doesn't even go for Gold Coast, but was just cheering because it was the local team and I'm there to watch them. I wasn't even in Gold Coast Suns colours, and yet they were not happy with us. So, yeah, pretty funny if you ask me, and pretty wild experience. Now, next up, we got NRLW, and I have had what I believe to be the shockingest week of tipping ever for that. So to kick it off, we had Tigers versus Bulldogs, Raiders versus Sharks, Dragons versus Roosters, Cowboys versus Knights, Wars versus Eels, and the Titans versus Broncos. Nay. So the Bulldogs got the win over the Tigers. Lucky for me, I had them tipped. Raiders versus Sharks. Day to be a Raiders fan, especially considering no Raiders men playing this week. So it's not like we just had a loss and a win. We only had the women playing this week, so they got smashed by the Sharks. I think it was like 54-6. Very yeah, the poor Raiders girls. They'll be looking to bounce that back after 2 losses. Dragons versus Roosters. Roosters stomped over the Dragons. I thought the Dragons would be a bit better considering their win over the Raiders last week. Cowboys versus Knights. Cowboys just, or Cowgirls, if you want to get techie with it. They couldn't get, the Knights just seemed to be too powerful for them. Now, Wars versus Eels. I had the Eels tip, but the Wars girls got their first ever NRLW win. So I guess that's really notable there anyway. So I'm not too sad about the Eels losing that one. At the end of the day, it is just tips. So hats off to the Warrior girls and congratulations on your first win in your inaugural season. I think that's how you pronounce it. And then to finish off the week, Titans versus Broncos. Fortunately for me, I had the Broncos tipped and they put the sword to the Titans. So it was only 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 out of 6. So my percentage for NRLW isn't quite there yet. But that's all right. I'm sure my tipping will get far more better as the season goes on. Now, NRL. Let's run through it. Bit of look. Let's just say my tips I said were if they won would be upsets. Did not win, but oh well. What can you expect? So we had Sharks versus Dolphins, Knights versus Storm, Dragons versus Roosters, Cowboys versus Bulldogs, the Wires versus Tigers, Eels versus Penrith, Titans versus the Broncos. So the Sharks ended up getting a bit of a convincing win over the Dolphins after the scores were probably level. Well, they were leveled probably about 65 minutes into the game, so only 15 left, and then I believe it was 12 all, and then the Sharkies just ran away with it for, I guess, a convincing win, 24-12. Knights versus Storm. The Knights were so strong at the beginning of the game, and um, well, it was, I think it was 8-6 going into halftime to the Storm, so very close. Or actually, no, it was, yeah, sorry, it was 8-6 at halftime. Newcastle. So Dom Young with a double there. I really was impressed with that, and I went, "Oh wow, where will this go? What's going on with the Storm?" Anyway, welcome to the second half, and then twice in the first 10 minutes, the Storm scored, and then went over to finish the game with a victory of 32-14. I really want to note it on all the doubles scored in that game. So as I just mentioned, Dom Young had a double, and not only that, every single person that scored in the Storm, they all got they all had a double. So Elisa Katoa, he got a double. Trent Liero got a double, and Kane Bradley got a double. So yeah, pretty interesting stats there. Nick Meaney, for the most of it, being the goal kicker for New South Wales until the last try in the 76th minute, and that was Jonah Prezet. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He got that final conversion. Now, Dragons versus Roosters. I had the Roosters tip. They narrowly beat the Dragons, which was actually quite surprising. I was expecting the Roosters to absolutely dominate over that one. Victor Radley was back. He's now in headgear, maybe trying to prevent that any more HIAs. Jaden Sewer, 150 games, I believe it was. I think. Let me fact check that. I don't want to spread misinformation um on my podcast. Boom, 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 boom. I believe it was 150. Um, Let me get back to you. Um, that's weird. Correct. Yep, there we go. 150 games. I was correct, guys. So he also scored a try on his 150th game, which I personally think is something special to do, to be able to score a try on a milestone game, whether that is well whatever or a record breaking game. It's super cool, and nonetheless, I know that it was a narrow loss to the Roosters, but yeah, still a pretty cool thing to do. Now, Cowboys versus Bulldogs. I was disappointed in this game. The Cowboys should have won here. So there were no points scored in the second half whatsoever. None. Zero at all. So the halftime score was the full time score. I thought the Cowboys played a brilliant game. It was their errors when they were on the attack and in the 20 that was the doom of them. There were multiple and multiple opportunities for the good old North Queensland Cowboys to score. Did they? No, and that was a detriment to him. Um, no Lockie Galvin taken out as a tactical decision, I believe it was stated right before the game, so he wasn't even playing on the bench. There were a lot of injuries, HIAs. Yeah, it was quite chaotic, the game. It was up in North Queensland. I know for a fact North Queensland fans would probably be rioting in the fact that they did not get the win, but it is what it is. Wars versus Tigers games. I thought the Tigers might have a chance here. I was absolutely wrong. I thought having Luai back and not having Chansey or Luke Metcalf would have been, it might have been a struggle, and I thought there might have been a role coming from the Tigers, but no, not at all. It was 34-14 to the Wars at Go Media Stadium, so a home game from them. They'll be very happy. But to note from um, to note from the Tigers side, Adam Dewey did score a double. Very good. He has been playing some good footy in the last few weeks, so I don't think it'll be enough to make the top 8 or to make the top 10 maybe. Who knows? But it's just it it shows that if I could help the game around him, it will be a much different standpoint perhaps. So yeah, next game. Oh yeah, so I had the Tigers tip, as I said before, and the Wilds got the win there. Eels versus Penrith. I tipped the Eels. They were in there with a shot. They had one hand in the lolly jar, but it's like Penrith just ended up slamming the lid on that hand. So halftime, the score would have been, I think it was 10-all actually. Yeah, it actually was 10-all. So, oh sorry, 12-10 to Penrith. Yeah, I was going, oh, the Eels could be on here. They were not, because Penrith absolutely destroyed them. Cleary ended up getting named on the bench in the last minute, and I think Isaiah Yo as well. God, Cleary scored a try. Yeah, they just really just rolled the Eels in the second half. So it was 10-32 final score Penrith. So not much to say there other than that. And then Titans versus Broncos. Man, honestly, credit to the Titans here, because they somewhat showed up, and they showed up for a red hot minute. Like Jojo Fafita scoring a double. That was pretty cool. It was 12-all at one stage into the second half, and then the Broncos just closed the door a little bit with Reece Walsh getting a try. Oh well, it was. I think it was. Let me think. Yeah, halftime. Halftime was actually 2-14. Sorry, and but it was 2-2 for such a long time. Both just having converted penalty shots, and then that's when it switched halftime. I remember watching the game now. Halftime, the Broncos scored 2 tries, and then obviously another two in the second half. But I do believe it did get up to 14-all or something like that during the second half, and we're going, oh gosh, the Titans are actually on here, but not doing enough. Reece Walsh and Billy Walters going over in the second half to finish that score, and also a 2-point field goal from Adam Reynolds, like I think. Um, maybe an attempt at a 2 point. Yeah, sorry, an attempt at a 2 point field goal. Don't know why, but yeah. So to wrap that up, I got 1, 2, 3 out of the 7 games right. So not a red hot week for tipping at all in rugby league, but that's all right. We'll be better next week. Now, time for the important stuff. I haven't really touched it too much. There has been a lot of content on my socials. If you've seen pumping out after Origin, what can I say? I do like my Origin footy. I do like my footy full stop. But yeah, I really got around it, and a lot of it was just bloody awesome from the Maroons. So, well, like I was, they were perfect pretty much. Um, in Billy, we trusted. We trusted him so much, and lucky for us, it was good enough. So I am so happy about that. That huge result. Our first half was an absolute clinic. Like, geez, we didn't let them in for I don't think until like the 65th minute or something like that. It was a perfect first half. Completion rate at 100%, no errors. Um, yeah, it was halftime was 20-0. Xavier Coates being there, Toya with the try assist, and then Tommy Dearden getting that breakaway off Hammer, and then Harry Grant doing his little dance around the field, well, again, around the goals, I should say, and scoring a try, busting about 3 or 4 tackles, or knocking off about 3 or 4 defenders on their own try line. So yeah, it was a great game to watch, and yeah, I think it was 70 minutes that the boys made without making. Well, let's have a look. Let's deep dive in this. So let's just have a look at possession. The possession for each was 50% both ways. So possession was great. Time in possession, 31 minutes and 42 seconds for the Blues, and 31 minutes and 21 seconds for the Maroons. So only a 21-second difference, with the Blues actually having more of ball possession. The completion rates both had 40 sets. New South Wales only completing 33 while Queensland 37, so 92% there. Um, or total run meters, New South Wales actually had more, 1,893 compared to New South Wales more, 1,893 compared to Queensland's 1,788. Post contact meters, Blues won that one as well. Tackle breaks, Blues won that one around. Average set distance, Blues won that one. Kick return meters, um, Blues won. And then all runs, Blues had more runs. The only thing that the Blues didn't win was line breaks, which was 5-all. So all the stats are going to New South Wales in their favour, which I think is absolutely incredible. That the fact that Queensland won, passing like offloads, 15 more offloads from New South Wales, so 20 offloads compared to 5 from Queensland. Um, where another interesting stat in passing though, dummy passes, one dummy from the Blues and 27 from Queensland. So New South Wales falling for the dummies. Kicks, Queensland had more kicks, kicking meters, blah blah blah. Now let's have a look at defense and effective tackles. So the effective tackle percentage, New South Wales had 90.81% and Queensland had 85.87% for effective tackles. So defensively, on paper, New South Wales did better, other than what the scoreline says. But missed tackles, New South Wales only 31 missed tackles to Queensland's 35. So Queensland made more missed tackles. Well, didn't make as many tackles, but defensively, again, 31. Like, won that one there. Intercepts, Queensland's the only one with an intercept, and ineffective tackles. Only 11 ineffective tackles from New South Wales, 30 ineffective tackles from Queensland. So defensively, the Blues were way better. Errors, though. Let's have a look at errors. Negative plays. So 11 errors from New South Wales and only 2 from Queensland. So winning that. Penalties conceded, 3 from New South Wales and 7 from Queensland. Ruck infringements, very minimal, 2 from New South Wales and only 1 from Queensland. And inside 10 meters, 0 from New South Wales and 1 from Queensland. So realistically, you look at all those stats and you'd be going, wow, New South Wales, defensively, attackingly, all these stats are in their favour. But you know what wasn't in their favour? The Queensland spirit. Like, you can only say it that many times. You sound like a broken record, but it is a real thing. And I don't think New South Wales believe in it, but they really should. It is what got us the win there. So really, that was the first time I really broke down those stats and had a good look at them. But like, honestly, Queensland was just a different beast. And now let's touch on that. It was an absolute masterstroke from Billy Slater as coach. He made some shocking calls this series. First one being putting Robert Toya in the side, starting in the centres against Latrell Mitchell. Everyone thought Latrell would roll him. No, that didn't happen. Toya held his ground. The other one I would say, Trent Leora getting a pick for Queensland. I was very surprised about that, and I did not think he would be able to step up to the challenge, but he did, and he, in my opinion, he actually didn't do anything wrong, which is quite surprising, it being Trent Leora. Dropping DCE after game one's loss, it was a bold call. It really was, and then to make Munster captain, as a lot of New South Wales people thought, we've won the series here. No bother going to Perth. They've never won at Perth. They're not going to do it now, and they've never won on the road, a decider in Sydney after losing game one at home. Well, they were wrong. In game 3, we had Kalen Ponga injured. I hate to do this and say this. I do like Kalen Ponga. 100% I do like Kalen Ponga. But he wasn't the man for fullback this series, and he showed that. We lost game 1. Game 2, we nearly lost due to his, well, I'm not going to ping it on Kalen Ponga, but there were a lot of defensive errors by Kalen. So I don't like seeing him injured. With all his injuries had played, it was a blessing in disguise, and it would have been tough just to drop him because he is a good player. but I believe it worked in our favour, especially putting Hammer as fullback instead of putting Reece Walsh in. I 100% agree with that. The form Hammer has been in fullback has been incredible. Then the worries about our depth in centres. Well, in game two, the Hammer didn't even play in the centres. He played on the wing. Val played in the centres. But I get what you mean there. Well, Val made that shift back to the wing, and what does Billy do? Not only he brings in another series debut in the last game on a decider, and man, it was incredible. Like Shibasaki, it was awesome. And then the final, the creme brulee, the final topping, in my opinion, was Josh Papali'i, Billy calling him up and saying, are you ready for one more ride? And then Big Papa going, yes, sir, I am. I think that was just brilliant, and that he obviously, I reckon Tino just in the last two games, I feel like Tino's been trying to do too much when it actually hasn't helped Queensland. Where having Big Papa there let him just go, oh, I don't need to do too much. I need to listen, and it just like calmed down our forward pack, and then, but it also lifted them at the same time, and it was just so incredible to have Big Papa just back in this maroon jersey, and it just, I think it was something really special. The boys off the bench, like, and then another huge call from big old Billy was to put Pat Carrigan on the bench. Um, but it made a real impact in the game. Having him and Lindsay Collins come off the bench as impact players, it was just tick that. It was just awesome. In my opinion, I didn't think New South Wales really had that fight in them. I personally think that they had it in their head. That, well, it also seemed to me it was like they didn't want it as much, or they obviously didn't want it as much as Queensland. But because on paper, again, we talk about all this on paper stuff, but on paper, New South Wales better team. On paper, attackingly, New South Wales better. Defensively, New South Wales better. But no, forget about all that on paper stuff. It's the Queensland spirit that got Queensland over the line at the end. But anyway, it was like they knew if they wanted to win, they had to be the first ones to score. And then when they weren't, it was like, oh, we've lost our game. We've lost the game now. And yeah, it all went from there. In the series, I really think the unsung hero is Robert Toya. Everyone going, oh, Origin Trell, he's a different beast. Toya doesn't know what's going to hit him. Well, I don't think Latrell realized what was going to hit him. Like, Robert Toya honestly held his ground so well, and there's not much I can fault from that, and I definitely believe he will be getting the call up again next year. He will earn that jersey again. Like, it's not his, but he will earn that spot again, in my opinion. It's just, yeah, um, speechless. Like how good he was. It really impressed me. Yeah, he really kept Trell quiet and tame. Now, I really want to talk about Cam Munster. He's an absolute legend. Doing what he did, something very hard to do. Losing his father earlier in the week, and then leaving Origin camp, but saying he wanted to still be there and that he was 100% playing on Wednesday because he is the captain. Not only did he already have the weight of Queensland on his shoulders well, after game one and being appointed captain for game two, he then had a series decider, and then he lost his father, and what could have been, well, what I would consider the worst time of his life and one of the worst things to happen to him. He put the boots on, he tied up his laces, and he got out on the field. Um, and the Queensland boys really were inspired by that, and it was just incredible, like to see him being able to do what he did. It's something very, very special, and a lot of respect to that man, Mr. Cameron Munster. And he really did his father proud. So yeah, thank you, Cameron Munster, for what you've done. Now, I've talked about one of our halves. I want to talk about the other. Mr. Tommy Dearden, you are just a full on weapon. No one was ready for you. Um, how on earth did you do that? 2 tries, man of the match, and the Wally Lewis medal is just insane. Congratulations. For those that were staying in tune with my social media content, they would have saw that I predicted down to where he would score one of his tries. So I said he was an anytime try scorer. I said I can see him getting his hands on and running with the ball a little bit and then seeing a little gap, dummying, slipping through the line and scoring on the right side of the post, so like the right half. That's exactly what he did in his second try. So I don't know. I could be psychic or just have this special connection to Dearden. And not only that, going into game two, you would have seen you would have seen a little bet slip I also posted. But going into game two, I figured, well, Tommy Dearden's now 7 with DCE being dropped. He has to have has to have at least one decent game and one perfect game. Because if he doesn't, the whole of the world will be going, why did Billy drop your captain and your 7? And he did just that. I had him down for Wally Lewis medal. I put $2 on it. He was paying $61 at the time. Turns around, gets the Wally Lewis medal, $122 in my bank account. So, really happy with that one. Now, to finish it off, New South Wales, you just don't understand Origin, do you? And that's okay. Queenslanders just get it. They always have and they always will. Yes, some series we will lose. We might even lose twice in a row. But at the end of the day, we all know that Queensland spirit is what keeps Queensland coming back and keeps winning them when they're in doubt. Our team is just simply better. One put. I don't want to see Billy retire as our coach anytime soon. He is now 3 series out of 4, a great track record already. I really want to see him keep going, and I think he will because he just loves our state. So, to conclude, we are Queensland. Queensland just gets Origin. And thank you for tuning in for another episode of What's Not Sport. I'll see you later in the week, guys. Cheers. Salute. Enjoy your week. I'll be back with my picks for next round. And yeah, I did skip out on Try July actually. So real quick, actually, my Try July celebration of the week goes to the man who returned for the Roosters, Victor Radley. Pretty cool try celebration. Happy Gilmore. So yeah, pretty cool. But he's my winner of the week. But yes, we are Queensland. Queensland spirit is undefeated. It will never be tamed. Thanks for tuning into What's Not Sports. I will see you later, guys. Cheers.